This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so we are going to discuss about VPC endpoints, VPC peering, and types of VPC peering and flow logs.
Mhm.
So this in turn will complete our discussion around VPCs.
Sure.
So whenever we talk about VPC, right, VPC is like
Mhm.
our own data center in a cloud.
Right.
So what we'll do is, in the bare minimum, we segregate it into uh, public subnet and a private subnet kind of setup which we had earlier. Okay,
Mhm.
so many of the business logic we'll have it inside our code base, and
Mhm.
in order to execute properly, what we will do, we'll have bare minimum as public subnet, and some business logic which should be hidden and kept safe. We'll have it inside private subnet or any storage services.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we'll have a situation where we are using other AWS services. Okay. For our case, let's say an S3. Okay. In
Mhm.
S3, inside S3, we'll have our bucket which is residing inside S3.
Mhm.
Okay. This is my bucket.
Okay.
So what happens is, let's say something inside private subnet needs access to my bucket. So how we will do is we'll create an EC2 instance which will sit inside our private subnet, and then we'll have something called as root table, which will sit on our private subnet, which will help us in differentiating local traffic and the public, like internet traffic. If we want
Mhm.
to use internet via this particular EC2 instance, so what we'll do, we'll have a NAT gateway,
Mhm.
which will sit in our private subnet.
Public.
I'm sorry, yeah, public subnet, which will have
Route configure.
in the route table which in turn will go and talk to internet gateway.
Mhm.
Okay? So if you see, you will make call from here to here, then to here, then to here, then here, and then we will come to here. Okay.
Mhm.
So let me use a pen here. 1 second, Prasanna. Yeah, I had to step away. Yeah.
Sure.
So, believe it will not use up. So what happens is your request goes from here, then you'll have a route till here, then this guy will come the request here. Internally, at the end, it will come to open internet, okay? And then
Mm-hmm.
let's say this is a cloud of open internet, and it will come hit here, and then it will come to S3 service again inside AWS infrastructure, which will make a call to my bucket, and then again we'll get the response like this. Again we'll get a response here, and similarly same flow will happen, and I'll get a response whatever I saved in my bucket. I have to follow this way. Okay, so uh, it does not make sense, to be
Correct.
frank. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you are trying to access a resource which is inside the AWS purview, and still you are going to open internet following all these hops,
Correct.
and then trying to access your own resource which you own is in your account. And
Right.
traditionally you are trying to access it from private internet, private subnet, means this data means something to you, and still you are going via open internet and accessing it, right? That does not make
Mm-hmm.
sense anywhere. So
Right.
in these kind of scenarios, we have something called as VPC endpoint.
Okay.
It does not look like this, but it, let's say that it sits here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what we will do is we'll make a request now. It will go to my root table. In the
Mm-hmm.
root table, we'll configure a route to VPC endpoint.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
VPC endpoint internally will go and point to S3, and S3 will internally return a response, and we'll get the data here. And similarly, S3 EC2 will get the data. So
Right.
all this traffic, all
Mm-hmm.
of these request response structure will
Mm-hmm.
happen
Within
inside
the editors. Uh-huh.
AWS setup. Okay,
That one. Uh-huh.
not even a single request response will go outside the
AWS.
AWS infrastructure.
Right.
So if you're running your business logic inside AWS, then at least we can count that our resources will be safe. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so this is the whole logic or reason behind VPC endpoints.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now there are two types of VPC endpoints. So if you come here, you will see that VPC endpoints are for, let's say, we search for S3. Okay, you got S3, but the type is gateway. Okay, so there are two types of VPC endpoints. One is an interface, okay, and the other one is gateway.
Gateway.
So you could see that DynamoDB comes in the flavor of gateway, and we have seen that S3 comes in the flavor of gateway. And we have these many gateways or endpoints. Means only these many services we can call via VPC endpoint or a gateway.
Right. So these are the pre-configured endpoints flavors.
Not pre-configured, but the only endpoints.
Okay.
So when if I'll agree to the pre-configured, right, then there will be another question that can we configure an endpoint or can we create an endpoint? So no.
Okay.
It's like only the pre-configured, and these are the only endpoints. So, but
this
when I say only,
okay,
right,
this is the way.
Okay,
79.
79 endpoints are there. Means 79 services we can call via endpoints.
Endpoint.
Okay? Okay. Now the other thing is, if you configure endpoint for S3, then you can only call S3. Okay.
Right.
You want DynamoDB, so you have to configure an endpoint for DynamoDB.
Separately.
You want, let's say, Cassandra, so you have to create an endpoint for Cassandra. You want Athena, you have to create an endpoint for Athena. So Athena is, let's say, a query engine which takes input as a S3 bucket. Okay, and on the S3 bucket, you can run SQL queries. So that is a query engine which runs on top of S3 bucket. Let's say you have so many CSV files or Excel sheets and all those things, right? So you can use queries there. And Cassandra is a distributed database, so dual chain form based. So then you have CloudTrail and all. So the only difference what I see when you configure VPC endpoint, so let's say this is for S3. So here it is like service category, find service by name, and your AWS Marketplace services. So I have never tried this one, and I believe it will not be much different, but you can go ahead and try it. So here we are choosing like which type of endpoints we want to see here. So AWS services. Okay. So if you choose gateway, so it will ask you against which VPC you want to create. Because if you, I'm sorry,
We have two VPCs.
okay, no, we deleted prior one after the session. Okay, so you see here, right? This is a VPC. Okay, so this endpoint sits on top of VPC.
Correct.
Okay, so it's like a tunnel between my VPC and the AWS infrastructure.
Right.
Okay, so now coming back to why we need a tunnel. So the first thing which we talked about VPC is like you will get isolated space, okay, in the data, which you can take it as your own data center. You are master of it. Okay, so if AWS has those tunnels by default, right, then you can come up to an assumption that okay, if they have all these things already configured, then they can control my VPC and I am not the master of it anymore, or at least not in the literal sense, right? So if you want something, you are master of it. Okay, you want to open a tunnel, you have to go and create a VPC endpoint. Okay,
right.
I'm talking
You can
all these
choose
things
it.
in the layman terms. Yes,
Right.
but it will not be like it should not be taken as literal. But I'm talking from perspective like I'm using a VPC. I own a business logic, and I should feel confident that my business logic is safe.
Right.
Okay, so I'm talking from those terms.
I understand that. Yeah, if it is already there, then you think that everything is compromised. Here it is not that you can choose and play around what is required for your business.
So here you will choose a VPC where against which you want to configure it, and then move forward. So let's say I chose S3. Okay. So here, when you select a VPC, you have to choose root table as well. Okay. Every time come back to the mental model of VPC. I talked about that whenever you'll make a request, right, it will go to root table. Okay, from the root table, I told like it will go here, and from here it will come here. Similarly, it will come back, do all this. So on the same ground, we have to come here and then do the necessary screen shows. Yeah. So you have to make those changes in the root table. This will automatically make a root change. So Prasanna, can you tell me what exactly will happen? Like how root table works, or why we
So
need to add a root?
yeah. So we have different route tables for different subnets within the VPC. So is it opening for every subnet?
That's a good question. I'm going to ask you that.
I think so, because your it's a gate what is it called, gateway or
Okay,
sorry,
let me
endpoint that
try
you are
to
configuring.
Yeah, I before confusing you, I'll just put you on the right track. This gateway we are configuring for the default VPC. Okay, so the earlier one which we created got deleted. Okay, but as you are answering for the earlier one, right? So let's go there. Try to understand what would have been there. So here you'll be having a private RT, okay, and a public RT.
Right.
In the private RT, you will have subnet 1 and subnet 2. Let's say 2 private subnets you have. Okay. So subnet 1, in the private root table, you will have subnet associations. Okay. So these are subnet associations, but these rules you will not have there. Okay. I'll tell you what I'm just write it properly. Associated. Okay. And here you will have a rule like anything which
internal
coming from internal, keep it local. Okay. Okay. But let's say this will be the rule, and there will be, this is rule 1. Okay. Then there will be a rule 2, which will look something like this. Anything which is going outside, okay, send it to NAT gateway. Okay. These two rules will be active. Here,
so
let's
both the
say we
subnets.
remove. Yes, we removed it. Now, though we have EC2 instance associated with a role, we have inside this, we have an EC2 instance, okay, which is having a role S3 full access. Role is assigned to it. Okay.
Right.
So we remove this internet. Now, if we do AWS S3 LS, it will not come up. Okay.
Right.
When we create a VPC endpoint,
Endpoint.
a root 3 will get created,
Okay.
which will house whenever you are hitting S3. Okay.
Destination.
Whenever you are, okay, S3, and then some internal IPs which are only like handled by AWS, which points to S3 service, okay, will go to VPC endpoint for S3. Okay, destination. Like whenever you are hitting anything which is outside, you are hitting NAT gateway, right? So whenever you are hitting S3, you will go to
To go to
VPC
the
endpoint.
correct.
In this case, that is for S3.
Gotcha.
Okay. So though you are not connected to internet, you will still be able to access S3.
Gotcha.
Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah. So the rule will be applied for all the subnets.
Yes, exactly. Which are associated with a particular root table.
So it doesn't matter whether it's private or public. It will be associated to all the subjects within the
No.
VPC.
No.
No.
Here
Okay.
we are talking about private root table.
Okay.
So private root table are having subnets which are private associated with. Okay. And then here you will have some public subnets associated.
Right.
Okay. Here we are not adding that root. And we are also not requesting. Okay. So that's where, Prasanna, do you remember while starting for the VPC, I told you it's very good to have your own root tables created for different tasks. If we use the default one, then we'll have everything cluttered there. Now you understood why I'm saying that if I'll add this root there, then automatically all the subnets which are associated with that, we'll be able to use it. Now is it making sense to create different root tables depending upon different tasks and different subnets?
I'm confused here.
Very good. So you will have a root table which will be default. Okay.
The subnet.
And then you'll have subnets. Association. So if you don't have this private and public root table segregation and you have everything in one plate, okay, so how you will maintain segregation of subnets which are private and subnets which are public? If you'll add a root in the public root table, you will have a root like which will point to gateway.
Gateway, yes.
Right? So the moment you will add this root, all the subnets will have access to public internet. Though you name them anything, okay, that does not make sense. But all the subnets will have access to internet. Correct?
Yeah.
So that's where we agreed onto the point that it's very good practice, or it's a practice to create your own root tables.
Correct.
Create subnets around it, like let's say private subnet, public subnet, or somewhere in middleware subnet, okay, which is neither private neither public, but just used to talk between public and a private subnet. Okay, so what happens is you are requesting some of your resources from a private subnet.
Right.
Okay, and you did not wanted to give an internet access to that subnet, but you want to access some data which is kept inside S3.
Correct.
So without adding access to internet, you are using VPC endpoint or a tunnel connection to S3 service.
Correct.
Which is using AWS backbone network to go and fetch the data for you. or you are using that to write and then make a request response there.
Right.
But from the public root table, the
Mm-hmm.
subnets associated, and then there will be some EC2 instance inside it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you are not making any calls to your sensitive data there.
Okay.
Okay, so you will not first of all associate a role. Okay, role will not be there. Then you will also not expose your S3 bucket to this. Okay, we are complicating it. Okay, let's stop here. It does
No,
not
I
make sense.
understand. I
Okay,
understand that. Uh-huh.
okay. So there is any question?
Oh, I understood until this point. So rule 3 that we are talking about is will be applied by, has to be applied manually, or is it going
No,
to be
automatic.
applied? So how does VPC endpoint know that it has to apply only to the
So
private?
that's where I was trying to tell you everything.
Okay.
You will list all the root tables here, but here we are talking only about the default one, which will have only one root table. That is why we are seeing only one.
This is default one. That's what has been shown here.
Yes, Prasanna, I told you,
Okay.
right? We deleted the one which we created in the last session.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can see the subnet, right? It is
Mm-hmm.
172.31. We created 10.0.0.0.16, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I cleaned that sub like VPC then and there.
Okay.
So here, if you'll have multiple, so you'll have multiple root tables, like public and a
Okay.
private one,
Mm-hmm.
and that will come here, that will get listed. Uh, I'm creating one more root table just for the sake of discussion. And then we'll go to endpoints. We'll create a new endpoint. We'll search for S3. Select that. You can see here, right? A new root table came.
Mm-hmm.
So this time we have only one VPC available. So in that VPC, we have two root tables. I have
Okay.
not
Okay. Now.
associated sub, but we
Okay.
can associate a subnet, check this
Mm-hmm.
one, and then create an endpoint. Okay.
Okay.
If we go to root tables, and check the two roots subnets association. Let's see.
This is a default one.
Yes. Let me not check it. Yeah, this is important. So what was happening as we were not having any subnets associated, so there were no targets for the incoming traffic. So this auto creation of the rule was not happening. You could see that the destination is automatically configured in the route table, and it is going to a VPC endpoint. Okay, let's see it in bit detail. So you could see that earlier we had anything that is inside the subnet should be kept as local, but this is AWS configured stuff. So if you are trying to hit anything as S3 or this certain subnet or range of subnets, okay, it should go, that traffic should go to this target. Okay.
So what is that 54 blah blah? Is that the S3 stuff? 54, 52, 3 points?
It's managed by AWS. But for the sake of discussion, we can satisfy our thirst like these are the IPs which are assigned to S3. So the traffic which goes to this particular subnet is being targeted to S3. Okay, so that's where it is. I'm just deleting this endpoint. Slowly this will become a black hole, and this route table will go. So I'm deleting this route. Okay. Saying that we have some subnets associated, so we cannot delete. No, I'm deleting. Yeah, so we have discussed about VPC endpoints. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I'm good. So while creating the endpoint, we configure which subnet is for that endpoint that we're opening it up, so that it can access the internal AWS resources there. Okay.
So it was like this, I'll tell you. Just think about your previous VPC. Okay, this was a VPC. You had certain subnets like out of which this was public. These two were public, and this was private. Okay, so this was private. So you will go create a route table for and attach this private subnet. Let's say in the sake of discussion, I created a private route table. Attach this one to that particular route table, and there only I attach the VPC one. So that's straightforward. Okay, and these two are unaffected as they will be part of some public RT.
Right.
Okay, and for public I'm writing P. Let's say for private I'm writing P. Okay, in the private RT I will get the endpoint. Okay, so this EC2 instances part of this group will get. Think over it. It is not that tough to digest, but
yeah, understood.
Okay, so these are two types of interfaces in gateway. Just do check on these two. What is the difference or how they function? But the differences are from the AWS side, how they are maintaining these two interfaces and gateways. So S3 and DynamoDB only come in flavor of gateway. The other are interfaces. Okay. Then we have something called as peering. Okay, it's asked in exams all the time. Check what is peering.
Peering. Okay.
So for peering, I'm drawing VPC like a circle. Okay. This is VPC 1 and this is VPC 2. Okay. This is when you try to okay, I cannot do that. Okay, bidirectional bonding. When you are connecting okay, Prasanna, I'm holding it up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Not a problem. I understand that. That's okay. You don't.
So
I know
whenever
your feeling.
you so this is more abstracted view, Prasanna. Just be here with me. So you will have an EC2 instance at the end of the day inside a VPC, right?
Right.
Okay, which is running here.
Right.
Forget about whether it is in private, public, subnet, this and that. With the current knowledge, you can easily go and play around with that. Okay, you can debug your situation, and you have an EC2 instance running there. Okay. Now you want to connect or talk to these two EC2 instances. So what you will do, as this is in different VPC, this different VPC, you need to open a tunnel between these two. Then only they can talk to each other. Same
Yeah.
concept.
Instead of going to the public internet, you wanted to have a tunnel just like an endpoint. Okay.
Okay. If they are a part of public, yes, then the public thing, whatever you said, is correct. But if they are in private, then that will not work out here. Okay, the thing what you said. So the private will anyways never go to internet, but still you want to talk, right? So you want to keep the traffic inside. So we'll open a VPC peering connection.
Okay.
Okay. So what VPC peering will do, this will enable us to talk between these two. So how it will work, Prasanna? Can you just tell me? I know you can tell me with the current knowledge, but just think through. Try to connect the dots between the endpoint, the route table, everything.
Yeah.
Can you tell me
So it'll basically have a route being configured in both of them so that they can communicate, right? Through the some peering
what will be the
endpoint.
destination? What will be the destination in the route table for this?
It should be a IP of the each other, right?
Okay, let's do
Or
it.
the range of the subnets that's been configured.
So this is 16, and then this is something called as 172 dot some range /c. Okay, if you see the default subnet range, default VPC, so it is part of this CIDR. Okay. So this CIDR. Okay. So whenever in this route table, what you will do, whenever you are trying to hit anything in this range, you will have a VPC peering endpoint. You will point to that.
Right.
Okay. And similarly here, anything which is going to 10 dot something,
it
will point
it
to
has a VPC.
exactly. Okay. This is it, VPC peering. This is it.
Okay.
Now there is one more thing Because with this knowledge, you can easily crack the third question which comes in exam, which says something like this, and you will laugh over it now. VPC 3. Okay. Baba, there is something. Yeah. So this is second VPC pairing. But this is in between VPC 2 and VPC 3. And these two subnets, you configured everything in the root tables and all, and these two VPCs are able to talk. Can you tell me whether VPC 1 can talk to VPC 3? Is it possible?
So VPC 1 will have an endpoint to that.
No, I'm asking you. See, VPC 1 is connected to VPC 2. Okay, VPC 2 is connected to VPC 3. Can we talk? Can VPC 1 talk to VPC 3?
Yes, but you don't have the direct.
No, that's where I'm trying to understand. Can you tell me how? Because you are wrong here.
Yeah, there's no endpoint directly connected. I mean, there's no route configured for VPC 1 and VPC 3. So obviously,
exactly.
it cannot.
That is where I wanted you to go. We missed the concept of root table.
Right.
Root table is having root for 172.31.
1 to 1 only. No.
Yes, and this is something called as 192.1.
Right. Yeah. There is a layer between those things, right? So those layers are segregated. Obviously, the routes will not get compromised.
Okay. No, just let's keep it simple. Okay, let's not just say something. Here in this root table, you will have some root called like this. This is local. Okay. Then you will have another root called 172.31.0.16
to
16. This will go to some
VPC endpoint. VPC pins are 21, let's say.
Now you don't have any route for 192.168. Where the traffic will go, it will not go anywhere. Though you can talk to 172, this can talk to, but that does not make sense that it is a transitive pairing, that A equals to B and B equals to C, A equals to C. That does not make sense. Route table is not allowing it from the originating request. Subnet means.
This should be explicit routing.
Okay, so this makes sense, right? Now, should be able to pair up different concepts or moving parts here. Okay. Now we have done VPC pairing as well. The two aspects of VPC pairing is that it can be cross account and it can be cross region. Okay, so when I say cross account, so VPC 1 can be in my account and VPC 2 can be in your account. So a 50,000 feet overview would be like your data center can connect to my data center. Okay. Makes sense here, but there will be something called as requester VPC and acceptor VPC. So though I can raise a request to connect to your VPC, but you have to acknowledge it. That's one thing. The second thing is, which I have not yet talked about, that is called CIDR blocks, CIDR. These blocks, addresses, should not overlap.
I was about to ask you because IPs are confined to one VPC itself. There could be similarities there. So yeah, that okay.
No, that's where you will have problem that if you'll have two IPs of the same type
Mhm.
on the same network, so where
Right.
you will send the packets.
Right.
Okay? So peering itself will not happen first of all. Okay.
Mhm.
So these are the crux and means gist of VPC peering. Just keep it like that. Keep it simple. You will be able to answer all the VPC peering questions.
Good.
Okay. So I
So
said transitive is not
cross region can be across account.
cross region can be a cross account. I
I mean
told
to
right
say,
it is cross account.
yeah. I mean, I'm mixing up the things, right? So let's say
No,
I have
you
an
should
account
not
in.
mix up the things. It's exactly what is written. I'll stop you there. Pardon me for it, but don't go to the region and think about different accounts. I'm in Northern Virginia, right? The
Mhm.
moment I switch to Ohio, I'll have a different VPC.
Mhm.
Okay, and I can
Mhm.
go and create a peering for these two regions. Let's keep it
Correct.
simple. I can do that.
Right. Right.
Now you are running in Ohio. I'm running in Northern Virginia. We are two different accounts, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
I can raise a VPC peering connection.
Yeah. That was a question.
Let's
Okay. Yeah.
let's
Clear.
keep
Okay.
it simple, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is pretty much it. Yeah. Let's talk about flow logs. So now, whenever you do any actions in your VPC, okay, a request is coming, a response is going. So what happens is there should be some traces generated.
Mhm.
Okay, that's where VPC flow logs come in handy. Okay, flow logs are of three
Mhm.
types. One is VPC level. The second one is subnet level. The third one is ENI level. Okay, ENI
Machine level.
stands
Okay.
for
Elastic network interface.
okay.
Mhm.
So when you create a VPC flow log at VPC level, you will record everything inside. Okay?
Mhm.
If you create subnet level, you will record everything inside this. You will create a elastic interface level, so you will have everything recorded against a particular EC2. This is it. Okay. These flow logs
Mhm.
can be saved to
CloudWatch. Mhm.
CloudWatch or to
CloudTrail.
S3.
S3. Okay.
Okay. CloudTrail monitors API calls.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So CloudWatch or S3. If you'll save it to S3, you will, yeah, if you save it to S3, there are demos on internet and also on the AWS website to use Athena, okay,
Oh.
to search the logs, okay.
Okay.
So these things are there. I'll be stopping recording now,
Okay.
closing the session. So it's not stopping. Yeah, listen now.
Yeah.